Hello and welcome to Fox Gaming. Today we're going to play the Middle-earth strategy battle game. I've bought the starter set Battle of Osgiliath, as you can see here, and painted up the first models to play the first scenario. I painted up the terrain pieces and the 12 models to each side that we need to play the first game. Here you can see the outline of the scenario. It's played on a 48 by 48 inch table. Just use some books to limit the playing area as my map is bigger than that. If this is the first time you've seen a game of Middle-earth strategy battle game, I will go over the rules. This is some scenarios that you use to learn the game. And the first scenario is the Orcs cross the Anduin. It's from the third movie of the Lord of the Rings series. In this scenario, the good player will control Minas Tirith with 12 warriors, 4 with bows located here and here, and 4 with shields and 4 with spear and shields. The opposing army is the Moran Orcs, which are located over here, 24 inches apart. And they are armed with 3 with nothing, or swords, close combat weapons, 3 with close combat weapon and shield, 3 with spear, and 3 with spear and shield. So it's 12 on each side. The layout is, I've tried to replicate how it says in the book with the terrain pieces. Now this is the first game, so there will be no hero models, only warrior models, to keep it simple. Starting positions, evil player will deploy 12 inches from the eastern board edge. Now I'm filming from the other side, so it appears to be the western, but it doesn't really matter that much. The good player then deploys anywhere on the board at least 24 inches away from any evil model. As you can see here, I have deployed the orcs 12 inches into the board, and the good player is then 24 inches or more away from the orcs. The objectives is as follows. The evil player has to try to eradicate the good models and vice versa. So it's a plain kill mission. There are no special rules, and for the tactics there are some tips on how to play these armies. The good player should try to shoot out as many orcs as possible on their way to the good lines, and the Moran orcs will have to close the distance as far as or as fast as possible to avoid being shot at too much. In close combat, the Moran orcs are stronger than the Minas Tirith models, so they will try to get into close combat as fast as possible. Now this scenario is the goal of this scenario is to learn how models move, shoot, and fight. These are the basic rules of Middle-earth strategy battle game, so it's only fitting that this is the first scenario. The first thing that happens when you play a game of a Middle-earth battle strategy game is to roll for priority. This is to determine which side is going to move first and shoot first in the shooting phase. So red is the orcs and blue is Minas Tirith. Now we roll off, and here we can see it's a tie. Beautiful. Okay, so when you get a tie, you roll another dice or another die. If 1 to 3, the evil player, the Moran orcs, will act first, and if it's 4 to 6, the good player or the Minas Tirith models will move first. Now it's a 5, and the Minas Tirith gets priority for the first turn. So the good player moves first, though they do not want to move this turn because they want to keep their range as far as possible so they can whittle down the orcs with their bows. So they will not be moving this turn. That takes us to the enemy or the evil player's movement phase. And as you can see from their stat profile, Moran orc, you can see they have a 6-inch move. This is the maximum distance they can move in the move phase. And how to move? It's really simple, really. You take a measuring tape or something like that. This one comes with the box. I just cut it in 2 to be more convenient. and this is 6 inches. So they will just move the model up to 6 inches, not farther. You can move shorter if you want, but not farther than 6 inches. And I will come back with the movement done. Now the evil movement is done. Everybody moved up 6 inches to try to close the gap over to the Minas Tirith models. This brings us to the good players' shooting phase. As they have 4 warrior with bows, they will try to shoot now. The way this works, every model shoots 1 shot, so let's start with these 2. 1 die per shot. You can fire them together or you can fire them one by one. In this case, we'll just take everyone together and we will aim at the orc over here. You have to choose a target. To know what you need on the dice to hit, you can watch or you can take a look at the Minas Tirith warrior profile, and you see that they have a fight value of 3/4+. The 4+ is the shoot value. That means you need a 4, 5, or 6 on the die to hit the enemy model. So let's try it out. Okay, so 1 will miss and 1 will hit. Now the regular bow has a strength of 2. It doesn't say so in the profile, you have to look at the rulebook to find this out. But strength 2 versus the defense of the Moran orc. The one we shot at does not have a shield. Oh yeah, he does have a shield actually. Which means his defense, as you can see here, of 5 goes up to a 6 because you get +1 when you have a shield. The strength of the bow is 2. Now here we have the to wound chart. We can see the strength 2 of the bow against the defense of 6 means you need 6s on the die to make the kill. So let's see if this one goes home, and it does, a 6. So this Moran orc is dead and is removed from the battlefield. The good player is not done, however, because we have 2 more archers up here. The range of the bows is 24 inches. I pre-measured this, so we are within range. To find how far a bow fires, you have to look it up, the profile of the bow, in the main rulebook. This time we will try to hit the model in the back here, who has a spear and a shield. The reason we want to hit this model is just that we don't want them to get the spear support, as we will come back to later in the video. Now, first we will try to hit. We'll need a 4+. Okay, so 1 of them hit. Now, because there are a model in the way, we have to roll an in the way roll. This is different depending on what is in the way. In case of a model, you need a 4+ to hit your intended target. So let's roll. Okay, so we get a 2. We do not hit the spear guy in the back, but we do hit the regular Moran orc in the front. Now he has a defense of 5 and the strength of the bow is 2. If we again look at the chart, strength of 2 against the defense of 5, it's still 6. So we still need 6s to wound. We do not get it. So the shot just hits his armor or is not good enough to wound him. Now the evil player could now shoot, but as they do not have any shooting, it goes back to the fight phase. Now there are no fights at the moment, so we'll just continue to turn 2. And then we will roll for priority again. Now the good player wins this one with a 6, so it's the good player's turn to move. The good player still doesn't want to move, because they still want the distance and try to shoot at the Moran orcs. That passes the turn over to the Moran orcs, which will move, and we'll come back when the move is done. Now I will just quickly show you how movement is done. You have to measure from the same place of the base to the same place of the base. So if you use the front like this, you have to measure and don't move him farther than the front of the base. You can also move from back to back like this, from the back of the base to the back of the base, but it's usually recommended to use front to the front. So the evil players have moved their miniatures, which brings us to good players' shooting phase. We'll just do the same as last time. These 2 will try to hit the front guy over here. It's within range of 24, and we need 4s to hit. So we score 1 hit, and a strength of 2 against a defense of 5 is still 6. No. And the other 2 will try to fire at this first orc here. And 1 hit on the 4+, then we need a 6 to wound 3, so that's not enough. Okay, so then it's again the evil player's shooting phase, but they have no shooting, and then it's the fight phase, and we have no fights, so then we go to turn 3. Turn 3 priority, again the red die is the evil player and the blue is the good player. This time the evil player moves first. And the evil player moved closer, but it's still not enough to get into close combat with the Minas Tirith models. Now you can see it's the good player's turn. You can always pre-measure in this game, and you can see here that a move of 6 still isn't enough to come into close combat with the orcs. Then it's off to evil shooting, as they do not have any shooting. It's good shooting. So we'll try these 2, and we have to check if we can see the Moran orc still, and we can. So then we will just make our shooting attacks. Right. No hits. And the odd ones trying to hit this orc on the end. Gets 1 hit and need another 6 to kill. Doesn't get it. Then it's new priority. And the good player gets it. Now, the good player still just wants to shoot, and we know that the orcs cannot close the distance, so we are safe for now. But you have to take in consideration that you will have a shot. Maybe these orcs will position themselves in such a way that the archers cannot shoot. So to counter this, these warriors of Minas Tirith with bow will move a little bit to get a clear shot. If they want to move and shoot, you can only move half distance of your move allowance, which is 6, and half of this is 3, but it is enough to position the archers over here. Bear in mind, if your archers are standing base to base, they can still shoot without in the way rolls, because they are shooting over the shoulder of their comrade. Now, on to evil movement. So the Moran orcs moved closer to prepare for combat, though it's not combat quite yet. It is the good player's shooting phase. So we'll start off with these 2, trying to hit the one with the spear on the end. And both miss. And the other side will try the same thing, the spear guy on the end. And they get 1 hit and need 6s to kill. Doesn't get it. And we're off to priority again, which will go to evil. Which means evil will move first. And we'll come back after the movement is done. I should show you how control zones work. Now, every model has a control zone, which is it is 1 inch around the base of the model. So no model can move within 1 inch of an enemy miniature without engaging in combat. Now the orcs are going to move into combat this turn, so they ignore the control zone and get into combat. You just place the models in base to base with the enemy, like this. And the spears can support friendly models by standing in base to base. So the spears in this case will just move into base contact with their friend to be able to support them. Now it's the Minas Tirith move phase. As the warriors of Minas Tirith have a special rule called Shield Wall, which means they get +1 bonus to their defense if they are in base contact with 2 of their friends. They will not move this turn to still get this bonus in close combat. The archers, however, cannot shoot into combat. They can, however, shoot at models not in combat, and the guys that have spear support are technically not in combat. Now, I just had to double check. A model that is supporting with a spear is considered not to be part of the combat in regards to being shot at. So good models can still shoot at models supporting with a spear. The spear support works in the following way. They use their own strength and own fight value when rolling to see who wins the fights and rolling to wound. Now, since it's the good player's shooting phase, they will shoot at the orc with spear support at the end over here. They move this turn, so they get -1 to their shoot value, which was 4+, so it's now 5+. And no hits. The other two models stood still, or they pivoted on the spot, which does not count as moving, and they will try to hit this one at the end, needing 4+. That's 1 hit, and need 6 to wound. No. That brings us to the fight phase. In the fight phase, you pair off combats so that there are approximately as many models on each side, or equal number of models on each side making the fight. It is the player with the priority that chooses which fight to do first and how to pair them up, but they have to try to get the same amount of models on each side. So in this case, we will have on this side these two orcs versus these two warriors of Minas Tirith, and there's 2 versus 2 here, 2 versus 2 here. Here we can see there are 3 models engaged with, or 5 models engaged with 2 models, and this one gets paired off. So these 3 will fight this one, and these 2 will fight this one. To make it simple, just go from one side to the other, or you can choose whatever you want. So let's start on the end here. We have 2 warriors of Minas Tirith with 1 attack each, and 2 Moran orcs with 1 attack each. To determine who wins the fight, roll all dice, and the highest die win the fight. Here we can see we have 6 from the Minas Tirith player and 6 from the orc player, which means it's up to the fight value to decide which side wins the fight. Here we can see the fight value of the Moran orc is 3, and we can see on the Minas Tirith warrior it's also 3. This means that the fight is determined by a roll-off. You roll 1 die, 1 to 3, the evil player wins the fight, and 4 to 6, the good player wins the fight. Oh, didn't see which one there was. Okay, so it's a 4. That means the good player will win. When you win a combat, the losing side have to move away 1 inch. Like so. And then you can make strikes. To make strikes, you see, you take the number of attacks of the side that won the fight, which was 2. And you can look at the strength of the model, which is 3, against the defense of the model in base contacts, which is 5. Let's see if he has a shield. No, he does not have a shield, so it's just defense 5. Then we can see on the to wound chart that the strength of 3 versus a defense of 5 is 5. So that means we need 5 to kill the model. And we do not get it. Now on to the next fight. There is 2 versus 2 on the next fight as well, and the good player wins with a 4. The evil player backs away, and the good player makes their strikes. Oop. This time there's a guy with a shield in front. Now with a shield we know that they get +1 to the defense value, which was 5, up to a 6. The strength of the warrior of Minas Tirith is still 3, so we can see here 3 versus 6 is 6, which means we need 6s this time to kill the orc, and we doesn't get it. Now next fight, also 2 versus 2, and the evil player takes this time, which means the good player has to back away, like so. Moran orcs has a strength of 4. Now the Minas Tirith soldiers has a defense of, let's see, I think it's 5. Yeah, defense of 5 plus a shield, which is 6, and a shield wall. Because they are in contact with 2 friendly models, they get a +1 to their defense, which means they are at defense 7. The Run Orc has a strength of 4 against defense 7, which is 6. So they need 6s to kill off a model. They doesn't get it. Now, the next fight is 3 versus 1. So the Moran Orcs has the advantage. Because of that advantage, the Warrior of Minas Tirith will elect to use shielding as a tactic here. Instead of his normal 1 attack, he will double his attacks to 2 against the 3 Moran Orcs. That makes it easier for him to win the fight, but if he wins the fight, he cannot make strikes. So let's see who wins. And it's a draw, which means we will roll off. On a 1 to 3, the evil player gets it. And the Minas Tirith warrior is making a great effort here, which means the orcs has to back away. He cannot make strikes, as we discussed before, because he was shielding. In this second fight, there are 2 versus 1. The Minas Tirith warrior will try to make this work without shielding, to try to get a kill. And the orcs take it, which means he has to back away, and the orcs can make strikes. Still needs 6s, and doesn't get it. This brings us to the end of the fight phase, and the new priority will begin. So priority goes to evil. I will speed things up a little bit now, because I don't want the video to be too long. So I'll come back after movement. Okay, so movement for the evil player is done. You can see they are trying to penetrate the Minas Tirith lines and disrupt their shield wall with some tactics of surrounding and maybe trying to trap a model or 2. We'll come back to trapping later in this video. Now, the Moran Orcs are outnumbering the Minas Tirith warriors, as we can see. So these 2 will try to join the fight in their movement phase. To do this, they have to climb down from the terrain piece. If the terrain piece was a little bit lower, about the height of the model, they would not need to make this test. But now, since it's such a high or tall building, they have to roll to see if they make it down without falling. Then we'll have to take a climb test. So let's start with the first one. We roll. 4 is good, 2 to 6 is a good result. So 4 will just go down. If he had scored a 1, he would have fallen and take some fall damage. The other one will also try the same thing and gets a 4 and gets down. If they had rolled a 6 here, they could continue their move. But since they didn't, they can just climb down the building. When you climb down, you use half your movement, or the distance that you climb down. In this case it's 2 inches. It gets up to 4 inches, so that means 4 inches of their movement has been used. If they had rolled a 6, they can still move 2 inches towards the enemy. The other side here will still try to shoot. So it's the shooting phase of the good player. These 2 will try to pick off this spear supporter, as he is not in close combat by definition. No hits, which brings us to the fight phase. Yeah, I forgot to say that these models moved their full distance, sort of, because of their roll on the climb test, so they cannot fire their bows. On to the fight phase. Let's start over here. We have a 1-on-1 on the edge there. So let's see who wins the fight. Evil player wins the fight, and the good player has to back away. Like so. And they still have the shield wall rule because of these 2 models over here were in base contact at the start of the fight. So they still have defense of 7, so we need a 6. Oop, wrong dice, but no matter, it wasn't a wound. Now, the next one, there's also a 1-on-1 combat. It is a tie. 1 to 3, it goes to the evil player, and it does. Now, this figure does not have the shield wall rule because there is only 1 model in base contact, not 2, which means they have a defense of 6 versus the orc's strength of 4, which means the orc need a 5 to wound. And he gets it, so the Minas Tirith warrior is dead. Next fight is a 2-on-2. The orcs win. Here we can see he does not have the shield wall rule at this point because it's only one model supporting, which means strength of 4 against defense of 6. It's 5s, and he also is killed. This is not looking good for Minas Tirith. Next fight does have the shield wall. It's still 2-on-2. And Minas Tirith has won that fight and will make strikes. This orc does not have a shield, so it's only defense 5 versus the strength of 3, which means Minas Tirith need 5 or 6 to kill. And he doesn't get it. This was a great opportunity, but he botched. Now, sorry, I made a mistake here because this orc was also in the fight. But no matter, we will just pair him off against him. So it's 3 orcs versus 1 Minas Tirith. And the Minas Tirith model will shield because he's outnumbered 3-1. This is just a tactical option. The orcs still win. He has to back away 1 inch. And the orcs will need 5s to wound. And they get it. So another Minas Tirith warrior is killed. Now on the edge here, there are 2 orcs versus 1 Minas Tirith. So 2 against 1. The orcs takes it, and they will make strikes. No shield wall here either. So 5s, and he's killed. Oh, lordy lord. They are falling like flies. Only 4 Minas Tirith soldiers left here. They will need the support of their bowmen. Now let's see who wins priority. Goes to evil. I'll come back after the movement is done. Orc movement done. As you can see, the warriors of Minas Tirith are surrounded, and they will need the help of their bowmen. Now, are they within range? Yes, they are. So the bowmen will just move into combat to try and even the odds on this side. Now the other bowman will also try to help and will make some climb tests. This one, the first one, 5, which is okay. He will just climb down over here. And the other one, also fine, climb down over here. They can now not shoot, as we discussed earlier. So, fight phase. We have on the edge here 3 versus 1. As you can see now, this warrior of Minas Tirith right here is trapped, which means he cannot back away 1 full inch. And we will see how that plays out. Probably not good for him. He will be shielding, as he is outnumbered 3-1. It doesn't help much, the orcs take it. And now, since he cannot back away, the enemy gets to double their attacks. So, there are three orcs, and they double their attacks, which means they get 6 opportunities to kill him. Defense of 6, strength of 4, which means 5s, and he's dead. And he dies multiple times. So he's gone. Now the next fight is a 2-on-1. And the orcs win again. However, he can back away 1 full inch, which means they will only make regular strikes. Still need 5s, and they doesn't get it. The next fight is, let's see, let's take 3 orcs versus 1 Minas Tirith. There's these 3 orcs versus him. He's still outnumbered, so he will try to use the shielding special rule. And he loses the fight. Now, this model is still in combat with these 2, so he cannot back away. Or can he? Well, actually, he is not in combat and he can back away. So that means he also can back away 1 inch. He will not be trapped. But still, 3 attacks, wounding on 5s. This is not looking good. And he dies. Poor guy. Okay, the next fight is a one-on-one on this side here. And the orcs win again. And 5s, no, he's good. So he just backs away 1 inch. And now it's this fight over here, one-on-one. And the good player wins, which is good. Evil backs away 1 inch, and a strength of 3 versus a defense of 6 because of the shield of the orc, which means 6s. No. And the last fight, one-on-one. The good player takes it, which is nice, and 6s to kill. No. No kills. New priority. And the good player takes it. I'll come back with the movement. Okay, so the good player tried to tie up as many evil models as possible to limit their movement. So we can see this one got into combat with 2 enemy models. This is okay because he has got into combat. He can move into their control zones. So he ties up 2 models here. This one ties up these 2, and this one ties up these 2 warriors, though the spear supports can still move. Over here there is 1 model into combat with these 2 orcs, which means that there is 3 Moran orcs that can move for the evil player. The archers moved up to try to assist in combat. So this orc, which is unengaged, will try to trap this model. Instead of going into combat with these 2. This is beneficial because they will double their strikes, as we discussed earlier. Now, these 2 supporting models will still use their spears to support because there are no real benefit to do otherwise. Rather, this one can move over here and trap this model, because now he cannot back away. If he can stand like this, there is no possible way for him to go 1 inch if he loses the combat. So let's do some combats. First one is 3 orcs versus 1 Minas Tirith. Now, the odds of the Minas Tirith models to win this are slim, so he will try not to shield, just to try to make some kills, because they need to. That doesn't work, and he's trapped as well, so that means double the attacks of the Moran orcs. And no kills. Okay, great. And then I can show you this, because he loses the combat, cannot move away 1 inch. The enemy model has to move, though just so that they are not in combat, so not a full inch. This is just to know which combats you have taken and which you have not taken. Now, the next one is also 3 against 1. Triple 6s. It doesn't look good for the Minas Tirith now. Have to back away, of course, as usual. And they make strikes on 5s. He's dead. And they doesn't kill him. Great news for him. This next one is also 3, I guess. Yeah, 3 and then 2 on the last one. So 3 on this archer right here. He loses the fight and is trapped. So double attacks. 5s, he's dead. And yeah, he's super dead. And the last one, 2 against 1. The last archer over here. He loses the fights, and 5s up, he's dead too. Now, there are not many Minas Tirith models left on the board, but still we go to priority, and the evil player takes it. Good luck, Minas Tirith. Now, since the Minas Tirith models are in combat, they cannot move, cannot shoot, so it's straight to the fight phase. You can see they are pretty much surrounded at this point, but let's just start over here to make it simple. So 2 orcs against 1 archer, and the orcs win. Now he is trapped, so there are double the amount of attacks, and need 5s to kill him, so he's dead. And the last fight over there is also 2 against 1. and it's a tie, so we roll off on a 1 to 3. There is the evil player, and we get the 6. So Minas Tirith will try to make strikes. The orcs have to move away, and he will make strikes at this orc because he doesn't have a shield, which means he has a defense of 5. 3 against 5 is 5s on the 2 wound. So, oh yeah, we kill an orc. Great. Now here there are a lot of orcs. We'll take 4 on 1 and 3 on 1. Now he will be shielding because 4 on 1 is really bad odds. Though I don't suppose he will win. Oh, he actually wins with a 4, which means the orcs have to back away, like so. And this is great for the good player because now he has room to back away if his friend should lose the fight. So he will actually strike normally. 1 attack against 3 orcs over here. No, not good enough. And 5s, yep, he's also dead. So only 2 Minas Tirith models remaining. We go to priority. The evil player takes it, and they will just wrap around. Let's take 4 orcs over here. I guess this is the end for the warriors of Minas Tirith. There's almost no way that this will go well for them. So it's 5 on 1 on both fights. The first one, first away. Oh, it's a tie actually. 1 to 3, it's evil. No, the good player wins. So back away the orcs, like so, and make a strike on the one without a shield. I'll take this one in the back, because then we only need 5s. It doesn't get it. And last fight, he's trapped, and the orcs double their attacks. Let's just roll this 2 times. Oh, we don't need to. He's dead. And then there's 1 model left. So priority. Let's just play it out. So we do everything. Oh, good player. Great. He will just go into combat over here and get surrounded by a ton of orcs. He is probably going to die real soon. We get some spear supports in here. These 2 cannot join the combat because they have no spear support, so it's 8 against 1. All right, so let's just roll this and see if we get a 6. Yeah, and the 1 die. No, so he's probably dead. He needs 5s, and yeah, he is gone. This means that the evil player wins this scenario. We'll come back with the post-game report. All right, thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something. It was a crushing victory for the orcs with only 2 casualties, and they decimated the Gondorian forces. As this is the first video in this series, I would appreciate some feedback to make the videos better for you guys. If you want to learn how to paint these models, please leave a comment, and I will try to make a painting video for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to. And if you want more of this kind of content, be sure to let me know. All right, so have a nice day.